Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to MyPillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. MyPillow.com. Promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. President Trump had a message for Hamas: be good or be eradicated, as his team is working to protect the ceasefire he negotiated between the terrorist group and Israel. We have the latest update on that. Federal prosecutors say they might seek the removal of the lead defense attorney in James Comey's criminal case, citing his possible role in the disclosures Comey made in 2017, shortly after President Donald Trump fired him as FBI director in his first term. Tensions escalated between Karoline Leavitt and the Huffington Post. The journalist S.V. Dáte, to be exact, as the White House press secretary, called the correspondent a left-wing hack. This following his article poking at her snarky response to a new inquiry. South Carolina GOP Chairman Drew McKissick joins us to talk party politics and the response to the No Kings protests this past weekend.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
President Donald Trump says he has a message for Hamas, and it's a simple one: be good or be eradicated. We have the latest on the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. But first, some breaking news on the James Comey case. Here's a breakdown of what's happening in the legal drama swirling around James Comey, his defense team, and the federal prosecutors. So here's what we got. Here's what's going on. Federal prosecutors say they may seek the removal, or at least disqualification, of Mr. Comey's lead defense attorney, Patrick Fitzgerald, because of a possible conflict of interest. Now, this is according to reports from ABC News. Now, why does this matter? Mr. Fitzgerald has been a longtime colleague and friend of Comey. They overlapped as prosecutors at the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York. Prosecutors allege that Fitzgerald may have been involved, or at least connected to, the disclosure of Mr. Comey's memos and other sensitive materials after his firing in 2017. Which you may recall those were later deemed as classified materials. Specifically, the government says, based on publicly disclosed information, the defendant used current lead defense counsel to improperly disclose classified information. Now, because of this, they've asked Judge Michael Nachmanoff in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia to quickly set up a so-called filter team, which is an independent set of lawyers who would review materials, some of which may be privileged communications, to determine what portions Fitzgerald should not handle. Comey was indicted on 2 felony counts, one for making a false statement to Congress, the other for obstruction of a congressional proceeding. Now, so what does Fitzgerald's side say? Comey's defense team, of course, they're pushing back. They argue that the memos in question were not classified at the time they were shared. They say that there's no good faith basis for accusing Fitzgerald of wrongdoing or conflict, and they also claim the government's rush to create the filter team and to challenge Mr. Fitzgerald's participation is part of a broader vindictive prosecution narrative asserting the case is politically motivated. So they're going back to the old argument that the Trump administration is simply using the DOJ and the U.S. Attorney's Office as a political weapon, that they're persecuting James Comey because of his political beliefs. Have you ever heard that before? Have you ever heard that argument being made? Maybe from the other side? Now, here's why we need to pay attention to this. Disqualifying a lead defense attorney in a high-profile criminal case like this is rare that it ever happens. And it's pretty significant as it pertains to this particular case. If the court agrees, it could delay proceedings. It could change the dynamics of the case, and it could raise questions about fairness and privilege. Now, the use of a filter team emphasizes the sensitive mix of attorney-client privilege. It also takes into consideration, in this case, that there's classified information and that they need to protect this for the public interest. And this is all tangled into one because you got to weigh the attorney-client privilege along with the classified information and the public interest that information has. The backdrop involves this politically charged setting because there is no love lost between the Trump administration, Donald Trump particularly, and James Comey. Comey's firing in 2017 by then President Donald Trump, his role investigating Russian interference, the timing of the indictment, and the recent appointment of a U.S. attorney to oversee the case with some controversy has Democrats, has Comey, has the left, has everybody who hates Donald Trump kind of waving their hand and raising the question mark. That, it's kind of like, here he goes again. He's using the federal government, the DOJ specifically, to go after his political opponents. So that's basically the argument from James Comey's side. So where do we go from here? The judge will decide whether to approve the filter team first. That's the first step. And how implicating the alleged conflict is for Fitzgerald's continued role. If Fitzgerald is disqualified, Mr. Comey may need a new attorney. He may have to get a new lead attorney, which could force delays and even strategic shifts by the defense. You bring in a new attorney, he's got to start from ground zero pretty much. He's got to, even though the material will be there, he's got to go through, familiarize himself with what the defense team has. This could be a delay of months, maybe a year or more. Meanwhile, Comey's team is expected to file a motion to dismiss the case, citing vindictive prosecution and the questionable appointment of the U.S. attorney leading the case. Because, of course, they're claiming that, again, that this is just a political witch hunt. Comey knows nothing about political witch hunts, does he? Do you see the irony in this whole case? Do you see the irony that James Comey, who loved a good political witch hunt, he loved going after Donald Trump. And now he's saying, oh, no, it's not fair. It's not fair. This is political. Can't be political. According to court officials, the filter team's findings could also shape what evidence prosecutors are able to use, or maybe what they don't use, regarding the alleged past disclosures. So here's the bottom line, and this is what we just have to keep in mind. This is more than your typical legal maneuvering. It's about trust in the process. And whether or not the Comey's team is successful in convincing enough people that this is a political witch hunt. It's about fairness of representation and whether past actions by Mr. Comey's team and his lawyer friend Fitzgerald create a scenario where the defense counsel might have conflicting interest. The question the courts now must grapple with: can Fitzgerald continue to represent Comey fairly when his past role may overlap with the allegations against Comey? And that's a big question. It's a question that I hope they will take their time and go through the evidence and not be in a hurry just for the sake of getting this case behind them, because we all want this case in court, don't we? We all want this to be done with. Quite frankly, I'm tired of hearing about James Comey, although I want him to get what is due. I want him to be held accountable for the years that he put the country through this, having this black cloud over us because of his hatred of Donald Trump. At some point, I just wonder if we're better off just saying, okay, we know what kind of person James Comey is. We know what he's capable of. We know what he did. But that's water under the bridge, so to speak. Let's just move forward. Let's just forget it. Let's move on and hope he has a good life. And Indian justice will eventually get him. You know what Indian justice is? I have a friend, Frank Outlaw, who always talked about Indian justice. Basically, what comes around, what goes around comes around. Eventually, if you're evil, if you're bad against someone else, eventually that justice is going to come back and bite you. That's what Indian justice is. What do you think? Should James Comey? Do we need to continue to spend time and go through with the whole process of a trial? Or is it time just to say goodbye to James Comey and just move on? Send me a quick text. Email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. You can also leave me a message on the My Pillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Always use promo code Joey when you go to mypillow.com and take advantage of this great deal that Mike Lindell still has on the MyPillow 6-pack bath towel set. The proprietary technology makes these extremely absorbent towels. They're very soft. You're going to love them. They'll be the best towels in your bathroom. The set comes with 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. They're only $39.98, normally $69.98. When you use promo code Joey at mypillow.com, you're going to get a great deal. $39.98 with promo code Joey. Let's be honest, those summer vacations and backyard barbecues added some extra pounds, right? But instead of feeling guilty or falling further behind, it's time to reset, drop the weight, and get back in control. The solution isn't a shot. Real lasting weight loss starts with your mind, not your mouth. At PhD Weight Loss, Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team help you uncover the real reasons behind your weight gain so that you can reprogram the way you think about food forever. PhD clients lose up to a third of their body weight without ever taking a drug. I know because I lost 33 pounds with PhD weight loss. Through real food, behavioral coaching, and proven science, your body can become a natural fat-burning machine. Why risk spending thousands on shots that strip away muscle, come with dangerous side effects, and leave most people regaining 60% of the weight within a year? With PhD, you'll activate your body's natural appetite control, burn fat safely, and stay in control. Even if you're already on Ozempic, PhD can help you transition off while still losing weight. Take the first step today. Call 864-644-1900 or visit myphdweightloss.com. Well, typical Donald Trump, he's not mincing words when it comes to Hamas. At the White House yesterday, the president delivered a simple message, one that's headlines around the world. This is in response to the violation of the ceasefire that we saw over the weekend by Hamas. The president said, this is a quote, "They have to be good, and if they're not good, they'll be eradicated." That's pretty straight, isn't it? It's clear, and again, it's unmistakably Donald Trump. This all comes as the president works to protect the ceasefire that he negotiated earlier this month between Israel and Hamas, a deal that pretty much stunned the world after 2 years of brutal war in the Middle East. Now, it's no secret that Donald Trump's peace plan, his so-called 20-point deal of the century, has already achieved something no one thought was possible. Hamas releasing all 20 living Israeli hostages and a fragile but real ceasefire taking hold in Gaza. There have been a few bumps in the road. But as the dust settles, the challenge now, of course, is keeping that peace from falling apart. And judging by President Trump's tone yesterday, he's sending a message not just to Hamas, but to everyone in the region that the United States means business. We all agreed to this. You agreed to it. Now stick to it. We got to have peace in your region. We can't keep fighting. We can't keep destroying lives. So here's what happened. Reporters called up with the president at the White House, where he was asked about the situation in Gaza. President Trump said Hamas has been very violent people, but he made it clear that times have changed. He said they don't have the backing of an Iran anymore. They don't have the backing of really anybody anymore. In other words, the days of Hamas hiding behind foreign sponsors may be over. I think they recognize that. I think the world recognizes that, and certainly Donald Trump recognizes it. He made it clear. If Hamas wants to survive politically, they'll need to behave like a government, not like a terror organization. If they don't, as he said, they'll be eradicated. Poof. wiped off the face of the earth. Now, behind the scenes, the Trump team is working overtime, we're told, to keep this fragile deal intact. His special envoy, Steve Witkoff, and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, are both in the Middle East this week again, holding meetings with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and several Arab leaders to steady the peace process. They've been dubbed the Peace Pair, the same duo who helped launch the Abraham Accords back in Trump's first term, normalizing relations between Israel and several other Arab nations. And now they're trying to expand with their vision for bringing stability to Gaza now. So yesterday, Mr. Witkoff, Mr. Kushner sat down with with the Prime Minister Netanyahu in Jerusalem. Just a day after 2 Israeli soldiers were killed in Gaza, this, of course, sparked retaliatory airstrikes that Hamas says killed more than 24 people on their side. Now, that's a tightrope that this peace process is walking. One wrong move, one step in the wrong direction, and the fighting could flare back up literally overnight. Vice President J.D. Vance is also flying to Israel this week, adding what Trump called additional pressure to keep both sides in line. The vice president's visit is meant to show America's full commitment to enforcing the peace deal, we're told, both diplomatically and, if needed, militarily. We are ready to back up our statements, according to the Trump administration. Also headed to Israel, yours truly and Mike Gallagher, we're leaving. We'll be headed over next Monday, and I'll be broadcasting from Jerusalem all next week. So be sure and check in with us, because we're going to have some special shows for you, both here and during the Mike Gallagher show. It's going to be an interesting trip, as we'll be talking with some of our friends in Israel and some of our longtime acquaintances that we have, contacts that we've developed over the years. So be sure and tune in next week, as I'll be giving you some special insights from Israel. Meanwhile, back to the Trump administration, President Trump himself continues to play the role as a deal maker in chief, if you will. Last week, he traveled to Israel and Egypt to celebrate the signing of the ceasefire agreement. This was an image many of you probably saw splashed across the news. It certainly made world news. It had the entire world leaders. It got their attention quickly. There he stood with Netanyahu, the Egyptian president, leaders of Turkey and Qatar, and all that whole Middle Eastern region, shaking hands, smiling, pledging to turn the page and moving forward, and rebuilding Gaza. Coming up with a plan to rebuild Gaza so that the people in Gaza can get back to life. It's one of those moments that reminds us just how much Donald Trump thrives on the world stage. He cuts deals. He drives, he keeps driving until he gets the outcomes that he wants. He's not afraid to lay down an ultimatum when necessary, and that's what he's doing right now to Hamas. We're not playing anymore, basically. If you want to continue to exist, you better go along with the deal that you agreed to. But let's be honest. Keeping Hamas good, quote good, as Trump put it, it's going to be easier said than done. These people, they don't respect life. They don't care about life. There's still major questions hanging over the peace deal. When and how will Hamas disarm as they agreed to do? Who will govern Gaza once the dust settles there? And what happens if hardliners within Hamas or Islamic Jihad refuse to go along? Who brings them under control? Right now, the plan is for a transitional Palestinian government backed by Arab peacemakers to take over administration of the Gaza Strip. Countries like Egypt, Turkey, Qatar, Indonesia have offered to contribute troops to this stabilization force. But again, you can't overstate just how fragile this is. Now, what about the money? Who pays for this? That's another Trump signature move. He's convinced the oil and gas-rich neighbors, countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, that they can bankroll Gaza's reconstruction. He said they have the money, they want the peace, and they'll rebuild it beautifully. So while American diplomacy is steering the ship, Arab nations are going to foot the bill under the Trump plan. That's a page straight out of the Trump playbook. leverage, incentives, and accountability. Now, of course, the president's tough words about Hamas have sparked reactions, as you can imagine. Some critics are saying he's being too blunt, that his be good or be eradicated warning could escalate tensions. Well, yes, I guess they could. But to many others, especially in Israel, that kind of clarity is exactly what's been missing for years. For decades, peace deals in the Middle East have fallen apart because of mixed signals and weak enforcement. President Trump's message? Nope, not this time. This deal holds, or Hamas doesn't. And you can bet Israel heard that loud and clear. Now, the question is, and many of you have asked via text and emails, and I always love those. Text me, email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. This peace plan, what does it mean to Americans? What does it represent? I say it's something bigger. It's a moment of strength and diplomacy that, frankly, we haven't seen in years, and we would have never seen under a Joe Biden or Kamala Harris presidency. While critics in Washington focus on political investigations or the latest headlines, Donald Trump's team is out there stopping wars, freeing hostages, and reshaping the Middle East in real time. That is a big deal, something that we cannot forget. And the proof is in the results. Fewer rockets, fewer funerals, and for the first time in a long time, real hope for a sustainable peace. It's not done yet. Again, there are going to be some bumps in the road, but boy, look how far we've come. And we've never gotten this close, not in the last few years. So here's the question for you. Can Hamas actually be good, as President Trump put it, or will the region slip back into chaos once the cameras go home? I got to believe that for the next 3.5 years, Donald Trump's going to keep the pressure on him, and that he's not going to give them the chance to renege on this, because whether you love him or not, you got to admit it's been a long time since an American president stood on the world stage and said plainly, be good or be eradicated. And he means it too. On the text line, Tony writes, see, I told you, Republicans are already talking about giving in to the subsidies. Never fails their foe. This, of course, Tony's talking about the government shutdown, and over the weekend we heard at least one GOP senator indicate that she may be willing to talk. Well, look, Donald Trump's been saying he's willing to talk too. I think it's just going to depend on what it is the Democrats want as far as those continued subsidies. We'll see. We can't fold now, Tony. We can't fold now. Dan writes, hey, Joey, on the Pelosi comment about her response to the reporter, now does any conversations that the president has, with people over the phone, aren't these phone calls recorded? So why can't they go back and get the recording and then show that he asked her if she needed some National Guard, and if she did say no, then that would prove everything. Okay, I got you. I got what you're saying here, Dan. Well, maybe there is a recording. Probably not. I mean, it's been almost 5 years or so now. But maybe there could be. Jennifer says, hey, Joey, thanks for keeping us up on the latest from New York. It's like Looney Tunes up there, isn't it? You know, my connection to New York is Andy. Andy's her husband. But that's up in the North Country near Canada, up where folks vote for Elise Stefanik. Do you think that Bobby Kennedy and Oz and Dr. McCary could put their heads together and come up with a cure for TDS? I don't know. I don't know that Trump derangement syndrome is curable, Jennifer, but we'll see. She says maybe the first batch of medicine could be sent straight to New York City, where they're about to elect a Democrat socialist communist for their mayor, Mamdani. I wish Curtis could win that thing. I think he could do the job. She's talking about Curtis Sliwa, of course. Appreciate your text. Yours is welcome anytime. You can also email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. Messages are welcome on the My Pillow message line, 864-477-JOEY. We got ourselves a good old-fashioned White House press scuffle, the kind we used to see all the time, except now it's President Trump's press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, who's firing back. And, boy, she's not holding anything back either. So here's the headline that's making waves. White House press secretary calls HuffPost reporter a left-wing hack. And let me tell you, she didn't just say it behind closed doors. She said it loud and clear for everyone to see on X. Here's what went down. SV Date, I think I'm saying that. correctly. A journalist for the Huffington Post reached out to Karoline Leavitt last week with what he called a question, though it sure sounded more like a loaded statement dressed up as journalism, like they often do. He texted her asking about President Trump's upcoming meeting with Russian President Putin in Budapest, Hungary. Date's message read something like this. Is the president aware of the significance of Budapest? In 1994, Russia promised in Budapest not to invade Ukraine if it gave up its nuclear weapons. Does he not see why Ukraine might object to that site? Who suggested Budapest? Now, folks, that's not a question. It's a political argument. And Karoline Leavitt, being the fiery New Englander that she is, wasn't having it. Her response, your mom did. That was her actual reply to reporter's message, your mom did. Now, the left-wing media has blown a gasket. Date doubled down and published an entire piece on HuffPost mocking Leavitt's unprofessional response, calling it, quote, your tax dollars at work. He even sarcastically claimed that the Huffington Post newsroom was now devastated and fearful of asking any more questions. Yeah, sure they are. Leavitt wasn't done, though. She took to X, calling him out publicly, writing, SV Date of Huffington Post is not a journalist interested in the facts. He is a left-wing hack who has consistently attacked President Trump for years and constantly bombards my phone with Democrat talking points. She didn't stop there. She posted screenshots of his messages to back it all up. Now, that's a pretty gutsy move for a White House press secretary. And let me tell you, I gotta applaud Karoline Leavitt for doing so. For years, we've watched Republican administrations take hit after hit from the so-called mainstream media. But Karoline Leavitt, she's fighting back in real time online with receipts, showing you proof. She went on to say activists who masquerade as real reporters do a disservice to the profession. And honestly, can anyone disagree with that point, with that statement? When your question sounds like an MSNBC opinion segment, maybe you're not the neutral observer that you claim to be, and Karoline Leavitt just called him out on it. Here's what makes this even more interesting. This reporter's record speaks for itself. His HuffPost bio literally says his latest book captures Trump's failed management of the coronavirus pandemic and his corruption of the Republican Party. Now, you think that's a neutral reporter? Is that a guy who spent his career writing anti-Trump manifestos rather than really reporting the news, and he wants to be treated fairly? He wants to be taken seriously? And on social media, he was even blunter. Back in 2023, he wrote this. As a journalist, it's not my job to tell you who to vote for. As a journalist, it is my job to warn you that if we vote Donald Trump back into office, it may be the last vote we ever cast. And again, he wants equal and fair treatment from the White House. Folks, that's not journalism. That's activism with a byline. So when Ms. Leavitt calls him a left-wing hack, well, is she wrong? I mean, I think he's proven it himself, right? The White House press secretary's job has always been tough, but under Trump, it's a firing range for this young lady. The press room is packed with reporters who don't just question policy, they question legitimacy. They don't just challenge the administration, they mock it, they insult Donald Trump, and go fishing for gotcha moments that play well on social media and clickbait. That's what they're all about now. And Karoline Leavitt, to her credit, is giving them back a little of what they've been dishing out for years. You might not love her your mom comeback. It's definitely a little snarky, but you got to admit it's authentic, and it was used in the right place at the right time. And in a political culture where everything feels scripted and polished, sometimes a little unscripted humanity feels downright refreshing. I think that's why people love Donald Trump, because he doesn't always stick to what's on the teleprompter. He goes off script quite frequently. And some of his best stuff is when he's off script. Now, of course, HuffPost tried to fire back. They released a statement saying, HuffPost stands by our reporters and our award-winning fact-based journalism. We look forward to receiving a professional answer to our reporters' detailed question. Professional? I'd say professionalism cuts both ways. If you're going to send politically charged messages at a sitting press secretary, don't be shocked if she sends one back that doesn't fit your narrative, and especially with this young lady. This dust-up comes, of course, as President Trump prepares for that much-anticipated meeting with Putin in Budapest, hosted by Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban. That alone is enough to make the media lose its collective mind, because Orban's a populist conservative who's made it clear he respects Trump's leadership and his America First philosophy. We'll see. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. On our guest line today, Drew McKissick, chairman of the South Carolina Republican Party. Welcome, sir. How are you?
I am doing well this morning. How are you?
I am wonderful, ready to start another week for sure. So, not that I had a choice, but still, I'm ready. Let's just jump right in and talk a little party politics here, if you were. There was some chatter on social media over the weekend about the Greenville County Republican Party endorsing candidates in the special election for the House District 21 seat and the Senate District 12 seat. Combined, there are 7 candidates running in tomorrow's primary. Can a local party endorse candidates?
Well, there's nothing in the rules that says that they can't. Or particularly, let me rephrase. There's nothing in state rules that says that they can't. Now, a good number of county parties around the state have rules about endorsements, whether by the party itself, whether by party officers, and honestly, it's not something that we've really had encountered very much around the state, because common sense essentially is the rule that tells you not to do that as a party, because at some point the primary is over and your job as a party is to go win in November. Yeah. And if the party or party officers have taken sides in the primary, well, that creates hurt feelings and makes it harder to work together with who may win, particularly if a candidate that you did not endorse wins, which, when a few counties did this in the last cycle, was pretty much the case in every race where they decided to get involved. And that makes it more uncomfortable, makes it more difficult to put the organization together with the people that you need to win. And let's not forget, politics is about people.
Right.
People, and having relationships with those people, productive relationships. And this makes it harder to do what's necessary to win after a primary is over, in my opinion.
Interesting. So there could potentially be a local rule, but maybe not. I mean, in this case, I would hope that the local party doesn't break their own rules, but who knows? I just found it odd when I saw the post and started seeing some of the comments. My only reference is back in the day when I was a local party chairman, we would have never even thought about doing something like this for the very reasons you just stated.
Right. And again, you have to remember what our primary purpose is as a party. Our job is to win elections. Because if we don't win elections, we can't affect policy. So first and foremost, we need to win. What do we then need to do to make it more likely that we do win? And then what things do we need to avoid to make winning more difficult? Yeah. And this, in my opinion, would potentially make winning more difficult.
Yeah, interesting. Well, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Maybe that local endorsement is the kiss of death. Can a candidate refuse to accept it?
Well, It's free country. You can pretty much say what you want to say.
Speaking of party politics, so Karine Jean-Pierre has made it official. She is an independent. She has left the Democrat Party because of the way they treated her old boss and pushed Joe Biden out of the presidential race last year.
I mean, again, politics is about people. People, they have relationships. They have feelings about, how they interact with one another. And I think this is the case where they've rubbed KJP's feelings the wrong way, or you're rubbing her fur the wrong way, as they say with the cat. We've seen the Democrat Party in a lot of different ways push a lot of people away. Now, I would say that this wouldn't be for the reasons where most people have left the Democrat Party. In her case, it's because, some people who in the Democrat Party who were more concerned about winning were trying to get rid of Joe Biden. Now, I can't blame them for that.
Yep.
I can blame them for the solution that they arrived at. I think was pretty stupid. But but thinking that they needed to get rid of Biden, I think they should have had that thought about 4 years earlier. But that's their problem.
Yep. But now, Kamala still says she was the most qualified, that she should have been elected. You haven't read her book yet, then, obviously.
I missed out on that.
Drew McKissick. Drew McKissick is my guest today. All right, so what about the No Kings protest over the weekend? Did you have some in Columbia?
I don't know, because we spent the weekend in Asheville. Now, my wife and I, we rode through downtown Asheville, and we saw a couple of people sitting out in a park beating a drum.
That could have been them.
Purple hair or something. I think that was probably them. One of them had a sign that said 8647, which we've had discussion about that in the past, and essentially what that means, essentially, calling for someone to be assassinated. But, hey, it's a Democrat Party. But, just a small handful of people from what I saw. Other cities around the country, I mean, hey, you've got, a lot of Democrats and a lot of folks who are, quite frankly, a little bit messed up in the head, and they all find one another. That's the beauty of the internet. Crazy can find crazy, and they get together and mouth off, and then they go home. Yeah. But that's it. It's over with. So it's just like the last one. Last time they had one, what was it, in June, I think, when they did this around the country. Now they've done it again, and it's going to be the same result. Nothing. Donald Trump's still president. Donald Trump's still going to be able to continue to do the things that he's been doing. And you've got more and more people who are moving away from the Democrat Party, more independents moving toward the Republican Party, because he is doing what he said he would do when he ran for election. Yep. Well, they appeared to have been peaceful. I mean, I did not find any mention of a story where there was violence as a result of these. Now, the interesting thing, as you see some of the interviews of the people there, they never really get specific politically or about a specific policy that they oppose to the Trump administration. They just oppose him. Correct. It's all, and that's what we've been fed for the last, how many years? It's just all orange man bad, as they say. Anything and everything about Donald Trump is bad. We have to oppose Donald Trump. There's no thought of policy and impact of policy. And I thought the most humorous thing I saw this weekend was the No Kings protest in Hawaii. So the one they had there in Honolulu, Democrats there got upset because they believe in a king in Hawaii, elements of the Democrat Party, King Kamehameha, and they think it still needs to be a kingdom. So they got mad when they saw signs that said no kings, because they think that they're supposed to have a king in Hawaii. And so they changed the signs to no dictators. They can't even get on the same page about what they like, what they don't like. I mean, as I like to say, the modern Democrat Party is a collection of grievance groups, and this is a good example of just that. Yep. Drew McKissick, always a pleasure. We'll check in again soon. Yes, sir. Have a good one now. You too. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to
build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.